After having fulfilled the mission Cecil had given them, Goku and Mark decided to go train in order to test their abilities and also learn more about their fighting styles. After a few minutes soaring through the sky, getting farther and farther away from the city and from any populated area, Mark guided Goku toward a mountainous zone on the outskirts, where nature was still intact. Here we are. There are no cameras and no civilians nearby. We've got all the space we want. Perfect! This is exactly the kind of place where I train at home. I love it. Both of them descended gently, landing on a large rock that overlooked the valley. Goku stretched his arms, throwing a couple of punches into the air to loosen up a bit before the match. All right, Mark. Before we start anything serious, I need to see how you actually move, so don't hold back like you did in our training fight, okay? Invincible was a little surprised that Goku had noticed that detail, because he was right. Mark had held back, thanks to his heroic way of fighting and his habit of not seriously injuring opponents due to his great Viltrumite strength. Okay, but how did you know I wasn't using my full power? I could tell from the force of your blows and how you moved. It really amazes me how experienced you are in combat. Very well, there shouldn't be a problem if I fight you seriously. Sure. Besides, if you don't give it your all, how will you improve? I promise I won't hurt you, but show me what you can do. Mark nodded and began to take a deep breath. His suit tightened slightly as he gathered strength and launched himself at Goku with impressive speed. So fast, the air around him trembled from the thrust. When he was close to Goku, he threw a punch he grazed Saiyan's face, but at the last second, Goku tilted his head with ease, dodging without moving from the spot. Good start. It's different from your earlier punches. I'm glad to hear that. Without wasting a moment, Mark increased the intensity and flew in circles, attacking with a series of combos from different angles. Goku dodged naturally, blocking only when necessary, as if he were reading every move before it happened. After a few minutes of trading blows, Mark pulled back a bit while Goku seemed to be just warming up. You have good foundation. You're fast and strong, but your movements are a bit limited. It only takes someone stronger than you to beat you, but if you make your style more dynamic, you can have the upper hand even against superior opponents. So, what should I do? Relax. I know that after everything that happened with your father, you must be afraid of killing your opponents because of your strength, and that limits you. That's why you need greater control so you're not so limited when attacking. You shouldn't always fight with brute strength. Sometimes hitting carefully and precisely is more useful than hitting with full force. I'm gonna show you. After saying that, Goku bent his knees slightly, one foot planted on the rocky ground while the other lifted just a little, adopting a fluid yet firm stance. Watch me closely, Invincible. It's not just about how much strength you use, but how, when, and where. And in a blink, Goku vanished from Invincible's sight, leaving him confused by the situation. When Invincible instinctively turned his head to look for him, Goku was already at his side, without having made a sound. His fist stopped a few inches from Mark's stomach without hitting him. Can you sense it? With this much force, I could put an enemy out of commission without killing him. This is control. What you lack. Invincible was stunned. He was already aware of Goku's speed after what had happened, but it was still impressive. It's incredible. I didn't even see you move. And I'm not even using Kaioken. Kaio what? I'll explain later. For now, Kabali with all your strength, but combine it with more than just direct punches. With that, Goku shifted into a different fighting stance to prove his point to Invincible. Watch my feet, my shoulders, my breathing. Your body gives off signals, and you have to learn to read them so you can use them to your advantage. Very well, I'll try. This time, Invincible flew toward Goku in a zigzag path, trying to avoid a predictable straight line. Goku tilted his head as he watched Invincible's new strategy, approving of it. Once close, Invincible began throwing a barrage of punches, but this time his movements were looser and more fluid. They weren't perfect, but he was no longer the rigid fighter he'd been. Goku blocked one punch and dodged another, then answered with a series of light blows to Invincible's torso and shoulders. They weren't meant to hurt him, only to make him stagger, lose balance, and break his guard. Goku clearly enjoyed training with Invincible since Mark learned quickly and made an effort. Well done! You don't always have to go for the heavy hit. Sometimes a different approach gives you more advantage than a direct punch. After that comment, Invincible hers. While close, he spun in midair, grabbed the Saiyan's arm, and hurled him upward. Although Goku had allowed it so Invincible could test his moves, he smiled at the change of strategy, using his own momentum to stop himself in the air shortly after Invincible's throw. That was good! See what you can do when you fight properly and without fear? You're right. This is more complicated than I thought, but it also feels more real. Seeing his progress, Goku adopted a new stance and let his aura rise slightly to show Invincible his energy control. Now comes the best part. I'll attack more often so you get used to the pace of a real fight. Alright, but let's continue. In an instant, Goku launched into the attack. His speed was overwhelming, but not lethal. He was simply teaching Invincible with every blow. Each strike forced Mark to move, react, and learn. Invincible began to see patterns in Goku's restrained attacks, starting to anticipate some moves. Goku kept going, encouraging Invincible to uncover his deeper combat instincts. I'm beginning to understand what you said. It's as if my body's starting to understand the language of fighting. Mark began to respond better and faster in combat, exchanging the occasional blow with Goku. He also used the terrain, bouncing off rocks to propel himself. He created gusts of wind with his flight to confuse Goku's instincts and gain an edge. Goku stood still for a moment, watching carefully how Invincible moved around him. Realizing it wasn't random, Mark was gaining force in the air, and he was right. For soon, Invincible charged at him with incredible speed and managed to land a clean hit on the Saiyan's face. The punch didn't move or affect Goku at all, but at least Mark had landed a strategically sound attack, which was exactly what Goku wanted. That was surprising. Great job, Invincible. I'm sweating like crazy, but this is amazing. Thank you for your advice, Goku. Well, I think we've earned a well-deserved break, don't you? Honestly, yeah, that'd be nice. After their brief chat, they decided to come down from the sky for a breather. Invincible sat on a rock, wiping sweat from his face while looking at Goku with a mix of respect and fatigued. You learned more than I expected. And it's not just because you're strong, it's because you truly want to learn. Thanks, Goku. You didn't just help me fight better. I feel like I'm understanding what it really means to fight, and not just act like a hero. That's the most important thing. If you learn to fight properly, you'll get stronger and will be able to handle enemies. And then you can protect others. Mark nodded, understanding well what Goku meant. In the distance, the sun was beginning to sink behind the mountains, marking the end of their training day. What a great day! It's been a while since I trained with someone new who was so eager to improve. I'm glad I came to this world. Same here. Sometimes, with all the chaos and responsibilities, I only focus on getting stronger and forget the part about learning the art of combat. Thanks for that. Goku let himself fall backward onto the grass, half closing his eyes while enjoying the moment. It happens. One grows stronger, sure, but it's also important to learn about oneself along the way. I'd really like you to meet the other heroes I work with. I think you could teach us a lot. Goku turned his face slightly toward Mark, raising an eyebrow with curiosity. Oh yeah? What kind of team is that? It's the new Guardians of the Globe. They're not perfect, nor as powerful as you, but they have good hearts, and they've been through a lot lately, so I'd like you to meet them and maybe help them improve. Goku nodded slowly, grasping the importance of the proposal. If that's the case, I'd love to. I'm curious about what kinds of powers the heroes of this world have. Sounds fun. After answering, Mark stood up, stretching his arms with some effort while shaking the dust off his uniform. So, how about tomorrow? I could talk to Cecil to set something up with us. I don't think he'll complain if you're involved. Sure. I've got nothing to do tomorrow anyway. Hearing that, Mark slowly took off, beginning to leave the valley to go home. See you tomorrow, Goku. Thanks again. Rest up, Invincible. You did well today. While Invincible disappeared into the distance, Goku stayed a moment longer, looking at the stars that began to appear in the darkening sky.